They thought they won the moment you went silent. They thought they won when you stopped explaining yourself. They thought they won when you disappeared into the shadows, bruised, exhausted, carrying wounds they helped create. They watched you fall, and they smiled. They whispered your name like it was already history. They closed the book on you before the story was finished. But they forgot one thing. You don't break the kind of soul that was forged in fire. You don't bury someone who was born to rise. They thought they won. But this is where you began to dominate. They threw you into the storm and walked away, convinced the thunder would swallow you whole. They left you in the ruins, surrounded by doubt, betrayal, and silence. They told themselves, that's it, they're done. And for a moment, even you wondered if they were right. You stood there, alone, with the weight of every word they said pressing on your chest, every laugh behind your back, every door slammed shut, every hand that promised support and then disappeared when you needed it most. They didn't just doubt you, they dismissed you. They thought pain would make you smaller. They thought rejection would make you quiet. They thought betrayal would make you bitter and broken. They were wrong. They expected you to beg, to chase, to explain yourself until your voice cracked and your dignity evaporated. They expected you to crumble under the pressure, to fold under the weight of their opinions, to become a cautionary tale they could point at and say, see, we told you. They expected your confidence to rot, your ambition to rust, your spirit to slowly suffocate. But here's what actually happened. You didn't beg, you observed. You didn't chase, you withdrew. You didn't break, you learned. While they were celebrating too early, you were studying the battlefield. While they were laughing, you were listening. While they were convinced the story was over, you were rewriting every chapter in silence. They mistook your quiet for weakness. They mistook your distance for defeat, and that was their greatest mistake. Let's be honest, it wasn't easy. There were nights when the darkness felt endless, when the ceiling stared back at you, unmoving, while your mind replayed every failure, every insult, every moment you weren't enough for them. There were mornings when getting out of bed felt like lifting a mountain, when your body moved, but your soul lagged behind, bruised and cautious. You questioned yourself. You questioned your worth. You questioned whether the fire inside you had finally burned out. But deep in that darkness, where no one was watching, you did something powerful. You stayed. You didn't run from the pain. You didn't numb it away. You sat with it. You listened to it. You let it carve you open and show you the truth. Pain became your teacher. Silence became your sanctuary. Loneliness became your laboratory. Every tear sharpened your awareness. Every sleepless night hardened your resolve. Every moment they weren't there forced you to become self-sufficient. You learned how to stand without applause. You learned how to move without permission. You learned how to breathe without approval. This wasn't a breakdown. This was the forge. Somewhere between the hurt and the healing, something shifted. You stopped asking, why did they do this to me? And started asking, what is this making me? You stopped trying to be understood by people who never listened. You stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. You stopped explaining your scars to people who enjoyed causing them. You realized something terrifying and liberating. They never had power over you. They only had access, and you revoked it. You began rebuilding, not loudly, not dramatically, but intentionally, brick by brick, habit by habit, boundary by boundary. You trained your mind when no one was watching. You disciplined your emotions when no one was clapping. You sharpened your skills while they assumed you were still stuck. They thought you were lost. You were becoming lethal. And then they noticed. Not all at once, not dramatically, but in fragments. They heard your name again, spoken differently this time. They saw your presence grow, without their involvement. They felt something unsettling crawl up their spine. Confusion. How are they still standing? Why do they seem unaffected? Why don't they need us anymore? They expected bitterness. They found composure. They expected desperation. They found distance. They expected revenge. They found indifference. And indifference terrified them more than anger ever could. Because anger means you still care. Indifference means you've moved beyond them. Did they really think you'd stay broken forever? Did they really believe their opinion was the final verdict on your life? While they were stuck replaying the past, you were designing the future, and they felt it. This is where the fire changed color. You no longer burned out of pain, you burned with purpose. Your walk changed. Your voice deepened, not louder, but steadier. Your eyes no longer searched rooms for validation. You became selective with your energy, ruthless with your focus, protective of your peace. You didn't announce your comeback, you embodied it. Every challenge became training. Every setback became refinement. Every doubt became fuel. You weren't trying to prove them wrong anymore. You were too busy proving yourself right. And that's when domination begins. Not when you defeat others, but when you master yourself. There's a moment, quiet, powerful, irreversible, when you realize you've outgrown them. Their words no longer reach you. Their opinions no longer define you. Their presence no longer shakes you. You stand taller, not out of arrogance, but alignment. You move faster, not out of fear, but clarity. You breathe deeper, not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. They look at you now and feel something heavy in their chest. Regret, because you are living proof that their judgment was wrong, that their dismissal was premature, that their victory was imagined. They thought they won, but you were busy becoming undeniable. Look at you now, calm where there was chaos, focused where there was confusion, grounded where there was fear. You don't chase revenge, you attract respect. You don't demand attention, you command presence. You don't need approval, you trust your own reflection. They're still explaining themselves, still stuck justifying their choices, still haunted by what they underestimated. And you've moved on, not loudly, not bitterly, but completely. You are no longer reacting, you are creating, no longer surviving, but leading, no longer asking for space, but owning it. This is domination, not over them, but over the version of you that once doubted. So if you're standing in the shadows right now, if they think you're finished, if silence is all you have left, good. That's where legends are built. Let them think they won. Let them underestimate your patience. Let them misread your quiet, because one day soon they'll look up and realize you didn't just survive what they did to you, you transcended it. They thought they won, but you dominated. And the most powerful part? You did it without losing yourself, without becoming them, without asking for permission. You did it by becoming you, and nothing is more unstoppable than that.